rotations around the sun, we've been kept under the spell, family. But tonight, on these stones our ancestors carved, the veil glitches. Look around you, this world is a hologram.
Children of the sun, Moors, native sons and daughters. On the stones of the Olmec we gather again. Look to the sky, the sun. Children of the sun, Moors, native sons and daughters. On the stones of the Olmec we gather again. Look to the sky.
Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission. Glyphs glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic. Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission. Glyphs glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic. Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission. Glyphs glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic.
People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. All aboard! It is time to hop aboard my spaceship, because you are now tuned into what is the Matrix TV. I'm your host, Dr. Jason E. Williams, EDD. And tonight we have an amazing empress, goddess, special host, Sister True Brilliance.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How's everybody feeling?
What's good with you, goddess?
It feels good to finally be here. We've been planning on doing this live for a while, so I'm so happy that we can get on the same page. And now I'm sitting with Dr. Jason E. Williams, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm ready to talk about some topics. For those of you that don't know who I am, I go by True Brilliance. I do have a YouTube channel, True Brilliance, and I am an astrologer, professional astrologer, and a divine feminine goddess coach. I've been working with women, putting on goddess retreats, and doing astrology readings for 15 years now. So yeah, I love what I do, and I love exchanging information and learning new stuff. So I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. Definitely. I was trying to what's your IG handle so I can put it on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, it's True, TRUE, and then another E, and then Brilliance, BRILLIANCE.
TRUE
E BRILLIANCE.
Okay, I got it.
Yep.
And so when you're speaking about the divine feminine, let's get into it, because it's the topic of the night. It's 2025, and brother Tupac Amaru Shakur is in the spotlight again, whether you know it or not.
My favorite rapper.
Long live Makaveli the Dawn. So how do you feel of an artist or brother who was talking about dear mama? We need to lift our black queens up. What happened to that in society of the divine feminine when we start the show off with Makaveli and the fall of P. Diddy as we go into the winter solstice, the new fiscal new year, the end of the Jason months? Right now, the biggest thing is Puff Daddy, but us on What is the Matrix TV with Sister Empress True Brilliance, we're here to decode the Matrix in reality. So with you, with the divine feminine, what is lacking when it comes to the reality of the knowledge of the goddess, and how do you see that connecting with today's base reality, and in particularly Moors, Murs, and Black people, and relating that to the fall of Diddy and the Scorpio? Because even Drake was a Scorpio. He fell. That's what was last year. Kendrick versus Drake. So it's
Dang.
oh, so the divine feminine is still in the background. We're missing it. So go ahead. What is missing uh with the divine feminine? Because that's what 2026 is. It's the divine feminine. But go ahead.
Okay, so you kept mentioning Scorpio. So I just want to remind everybody that we are in the snake year in Chinese astrology. So the
Mm.
serpent, the snake is also one of the symbolisms for Scorpio. So when you were talking about like the downfall of Diddy and Drake and them both being Scorpios, and we're at the end right now of the snake year. And this has been a very difficult year, I feel, for everybody because the snake forces you to transform.
Mm.
However, the snake is also a symbol for the divine feminine energy. It symbolizes the Kundalini and whole, which is like two serpents in opposite directions, which really represents like the masculine and the feminine together. But also this serpent energy, Scorpio, transformation, all of that, because Scorpio is a feminine polarity, it's a feminine sign. And so it's about going within and going deep within and kind of going through those underworld experiences and purging, because the serpent has a lot to deal with purging, like old emotions, dark emotions, toxicity, because the reproductive system and like the intestines is also a serpent, right? So that's where filth comes in, and then, you know, you transform it, you cleanse it, you clear it, and then it comes out as something different. So that's the whole point of like the serpent energy. But yeah, when it pertains to like the divine feminine, I do agree with you when you say like we're still behind the scenes a lot. And relating this back to Tupac, he was definitely somebody that brought a lot of attention toward the divine feminine. And I think in like nurturing that energy in the correct way, like even with his song Hail Mary, which
Mm.
is one of his most powerful songs, like he was trying to tell you guys and show you guys way back then. So that just goes to tell you that he was tapped into some high
Wow.
level shit.
I didn't think of Hail Mary.
Hail
Interesting.
Mary, yeah.
Wow. Giving it up to Guadalupe. And remember Amaru, Lady of Guadalupe, before Mary Magdalene, before, and remember Mary Moore, Ta
Mhm.
Mary. So right there, she just cracked the code. When he's saying Hail Mary, that's Ta Mary. That's Lady of
Oh,
Guadalupe, Amaru, Tupac Amaru, Shakur, Illuminati, all through your body, blows like a 12-gauge shotty. You feel me?
that's the
You know,
Kundalini. He's talking about the Kundalini right there. Like,
cold.
yeah. And Scorpio rules over the Kundalini power. So
Mm.
it was all encoded way back then. And then it's like this stuff was going into our subconscious mind as children.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we've been getting the codes. We were receiving the codes via the music. So yeah, that shit was powerful. And then yeah, Dear Mama, you mentioned Dear Mama, and then there was another one, Keep Your Head Up, you know, when he was talking to, you know, Black women and the struggle and stuff like that. So I feel like he was trying to uplift the divine feminine back then, but that was also during a time where there was still love music, there was still love songs, you know, we had R&B. So there was more of a balance between the masculine and the feminine energy back then, because we were both kind of feeding into each other, because you know, the female singers were singing love songs to men were singing love songs to women. That's that balanced Scorpio, serpent, Kundalini energy. And we need those two energies to be balanced in order for us to be okay as a community. So when me and you, Jason, had talked about like when gangster rap came out and how it kind of threw the frequency off, then, a lot of men started referring to women as bitches and hoes and kind of degrading degrading the divine feminine and taking that Kundalini energy to a very low level, to the root chakra. So then that puts us in survival mode. You know what I mean? So then now we're in survival mode as a collective, and then it just kind of went downhill from there.
So what's the answer for that coming into 2026 that you can give and that you're seeing with your oracle and your tarot card readings?
Yeah. So like I said, like we're at the end of the snake year and it officially ends in February, and then 2026 is the year of the horse. So it's a totally different vibe. So instead of being so internal and everybody's reflecting and everybody's kind of going through a deep, dark time within themselves, the horse is about moving forward. So it's like, okay, now it's all systems go, and we're going into a number 1 year for the numerology heads out there. So this year, 2025, is a number 9 year. So this is a year of endings. Like this is a year of wrapping up old cycles, old energy, closing out things, finishing things. And so next year's a number 1 year. So what's the number 1 year about? It's about, all systems go. That's Aries, fire energy. It's also the year of the fire horse. So a lot of the stagnant energy that we've been experiencing this year and the year before, like the fire energy that's coming in is going to burn through a lot of that stagnation. So a lot of things are going to be moving forward. We got the World Cup next year. We got like a lot of stuff going down.
And so go ahead.
No, I just feel like the energy is going to pick back up.
Is the World Cup in LA?
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 games in LA, and there's also games in Seattle. Seattle is one of the hosting cities where I'm from. And then, LA has about 5 or 6 games, and so does Seattle.
Wow.
And that's a big deal, really big deal. And they're having games in Mexico as well. So like the whole West Coast, there's going to be hella energy pulsing through.
When I was in South Africa in 2006, the World Cup was being held. And that was the first time in my life where I realized that soccer, or football, the real football, wasn't American football, it was soccer. And to see the country so enthusiast, like it was beyond football and baseball, interesting.
Oh,
and
wow.
in the Olympics, we were talking about not only Olympics, but certain artists who have passed away. Rest in peace so let's say rest in peace and long live Makaveli. And also this brother, since we're talking about the Los Angeles Olympics and our people still being used in their death, I thought I had a picture once again. It must have not, I swear I thought I had more pictures up here, but there was a brother who recently got knocked off, brother Nipsey Hussle. And his building and all that Crenshaw Slauson district is now being revamped, and people would say it's because of the Los Angeles Olympics, and that LA is actually behind in being prepared for the Olympics. So we are about to see something new. I know they definitely going to have to plan for people to do bad things. I don't even want to say it over the computer, but yeah, a lot of big events are going to be coming up. And then the end of Trump, because the trumpets are being blown right now. So we have 2 more years. So this next year will be the last year he's in office then, or is it 2 more?
2 more years.
After this, is it 20?
Because he just got in 2024.
So 26, 27, and 28. So we have 2 more years of that. So around the Olympics, that might be going on. So once again, as we move to the next slides, the sister was also bringing up, as you even see to the left, you see Moorish garb. What is the link that you were speaking of between the Moors and Moors, basically dark-skinned people of different hemispheres and regions? So the Moors of Europe coming in and going to war or having conflict also with the Moors and Moors who were already here in America. What is that about when you bring it into gangster rap and hip hop? Like Makaveli, Tupac. Tupac was an actor before the rapper star. He was in Juilliard. So this also has to be an act, a play, a Hollywood script by the Temple of Set.
Oh shit! The Temple of Set.
Comes
Yes.
into Kemet, Egypt. So Camptown, Compton, Watts, South Central, not Central, but South Central. And then we're going to get into this episode because it's going to be quick for y'all. The link to the Williams family, the Washingtons, basically the noble families of the Washitaw-Muurs, because the European troglodyte, he did not say Washita. He did not say that. So he and said Washita, Washington, Williams, or instead of Mayat, he says Maya. Once again, Hail Mary. Mayat is the principalities of El Kemet, the wings of Mayat.
Right.
You feel me? Right here.
100%. Yeah.
So Mayat is simply Maya, the principles of Maya. The woman, the Moorish woman is Maya. She is the birth and mother to all humanity. And the Olmecs, the original Mexicans of old Mecca, were already here. How can I prove it? There's a place called Mecca, California. In California, in Riverside County, bordering where? Arizona, which true brilliance can break down. So now we're talking about the link of A-Ra Zone, Arizona, A-Ra Zone, the Grand Canyon linking the Colorado, El Dorado's River, Colorado, El Dorado, because they came here searching for gold.
Yeah.
That you think it's just Africa. No, they came here looking for El Dorado, cities of gold. Right. So Mecca was in Riverside County as well, because Mecca is a word. It represents a place of great festivities in the Mecca. Like Harlem was the Mecca of knowledge back in the day. So when you guys go study Mecca, California, they actually call it the Painted Canyons, because you could tell that they painted it with some type of advanced technology to blow off of the buildings that look like this, y'all. The real Mecca, those mountains and temples that were built in mountains, that's what we're looking at. So on the West Coast, and especially California, to the left, it says before evacuation pyramid of the sun. This is what Teotihuacan look like. So a lot of your mountains are actually pyramid structures, y'all. Okay. So the sister was also speaking of Caliph, California, as we already know. Can you get into that when we compare Califia, groups of Moorish women, not just one, because it's a title, but linking it to the Moors of Europe, like you were saying, and the nobility. I know I'm jumping around, y'all, because she says we got to rush, but
no, we don't got to rush. But yeah, like, so basically, you just tied everything together anyway. With like the heavy Middle East influence in like California, Arizona. I lived in Arizona for 6 years. And the whole reason why I moved there is because when I first went there, I was like, this reminds me of Egypt. I was just like, this feels like Egypt to me. And it felt familiar. It felt like home to me. And I just wanted to live there. I wanted to connect. And this was before I even knew that there was a Temple of Osiris in the Grand Canyon, the Temple of Isis in the Grand Canyon, the Temple of Shiva in the Grand Canyon. And so that's when I had just put it together in my head. I was like, there had to have been either this was the original Egyptian civilization, or this is like a replica of it, or there's some type of connection. And even living in Arizona, I feel the connection with the Middle East. Living there, it's kind of hard for me to explain exactly how, but intuitively I feel there's a strong connection. And so then when Jason was telling me in Riverside there was a city or a town called Mecca, then that just like really put it together for me, because I was doing some research on like the state capital of California, which is in Sacramento. And there was very heavy like Shriner influence with the establishing of the state capital of California. And so like going deeper into that, we know that there's like a lot of Moorish influence and like Muslim influence and things of that nature. So it was all just coming together that basically Middle Eastern culture, there's a direct link with the West Coast of America, basically like California, Arizona, a direct link. And then taking it back to the royalty, you have like what I term the European Moors, who are the royals of Europe. They are the royals. They are the original royals. Even King James, you know, the person that wrote the Bible, he was a Black king, and he descended from Black kings. And so all of the royalty in Europe was melanated people, and they were the Moors. And there is a connection between them and Islam as well, because we know like Moorish culture is heavily influenced by like Muslim religion, and like the moon goddess and things of that nature. So basically, I feel that in establishing California, there was definitely heavy influence from the European Moors, who obviously came to America and established certain things over here. But then also we have a group of individuals called the Moors, who I feel are indigenous to American lands and are more along the lines of the indigenous Indian people, and are more like water people, like they were the rulers of the waters. And then this goes back to like Atlantis and Mu, which we know that the entire West Coast of America is influenced by Mu because it was in the Pacific Ocean. And so that's like where everything really starts. And it's an influence from Neptune. If you're into astrology, Neptune is basically where they get the music from. You know what I mean? That's why they have like Atlantic Records, or a lot of record companies have like water influence in their names and things like that, because music, singing, all of that's water energy. That's Neptune. That's why it's Neptune, and he holds a pitchfork. So
Neptune.
you tune things up and you tune things down with the pitchfork. So it's all like frequencies and stuff like that. So that's when you're dealing with Neptune. And I feel like California, Washington, Seattle have heavy Neptunian influence. That's why like LA is like the land of dreams, where dreams come true. Neptune is the god of dreams, and illusions also. So one of the huge things, like I've lived in LA also, way back, like 2007 is when I first moved to Los Angeles. And, you know, one of the things they tell you, like they sell you dreams out here, like everybody's selling dreams. Everybody's under an illusion, or, you know, they're making an illusion about their life. That's all Neptune influence. And that's because we're close by the water. So the
Pharrell
energy of
Williams.
the water influences us. Huh?
Keep talking. Pharrell Williams. Neptunes.
The Neptunes. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm
they
listening.
produce tracks, music, frequencies.
What's up? I'm echoing again.
Oh, are you? Okay. Okay.
Talk about it. Because you were keep going. So the Neptune, Moors. So once again, it
Yeah,
all
so
goes
that
to
brings it back to
Moors.
the Moors. Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Because
Neptune. Okay, go ahead.
Well, like the sister was saying, it all goes forward and back, left and right, like the winter solstice, like the cross. We're dealing with December now, the winter solstice. Right now, this is Christmas time, Christmas, Saint Nicholas. So they have the Jesus in front of the winter solstice to distract people from getting downloads and uploads and songs of Ra, like when you see Akhenaten with the jars, canaptic jars, and he's getting songs, what they call psalms in the Bible, but songs from the sun. And once again, I would say we had devices, just like we have cellular devices where you can get signals through wireless transmission to hear songs. Same thing in the past, which is the future, present. So when we see Saint Nicholas, they replaced it. Santa Claus can't do anything without what? His elves. The elves. E-L. And where do the elves come from? They come from where? The North Pole. So I was playing NSYNC today. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And I'll do a laugh for people laugh. I love music. So yeah, I used to listen to NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. All of them. And so right here on that video, y'all, they show them passing the North Pole, but really that's what we would call the map, the true map of the world, showing you that it's an infinite plane of existence, and also that there's a center of the earth, which we will call Mu, the Polaris star, inner earth, Argatha, are the way out the maze, the way out of the labyrinth. And so when we see the elves are elves, Santa's helpers, it's what? The Twa, the pygmies, the little tiny black people. That's who they replace with Santa Claus, because the true magical beings of the North Pole, before certain beings made it ice, it was a lush environment. And so that's a symbol of where we truly possibly come from, since we know that the Twa, the pygmies, are the original people of the planet. And we're learning that Gary Coleman was pushed by a Slavic down the stairs, down the chimney in a sense. And so Gary Coleman, they had an episode called On Different Strokes where there was a black Santa Claus. So imagine that. This is where they get the story called Black Pete or Zwarty Pete, or more. So throughout Europe, they parade and dress in what they call blackface, what they would say, some would say is racist, but really it's only racist if they don't have the knowledge. We have to stop getting mad when we're getting clues of who we are and people admire us. So really, this is us, much love. This is us being revered as Moors and Moors. And when we say Moors and Moors, vowels are interchangeable. A-E-I-O-U, Mer, More, Mere, son of Mary, son of Maya, son of Mary, Ta Mary. So that would mean son of Mary. That's the story of Jesus Christ. He's the son of Mary. And who taught Jesus? Was it Mary Magdalene? Because we know how homosexuality and Christianity, Judaism, and King James and them didn't love the goddess and represent the goddess principles. So that would mean that they would have to reverse who Mary was. Oh, she's just a whore. No, he was the teacher, because the mother, Maya, Mary, is our first teacher. We come from the womb, the Wu-Tang, but they tried to make Jada Pinkett the evil, wicked Wu when they had that movie Wu.
Yeah.
So us as Moors and Moors on December 21st, 25th, this is when right now we're getting downloads, uploads from the universe. Do not be distracted by the Matrix hologram. The goal is to ascend mentally, and then it might be does sin, because if this is a matrix hologram and that's a net or water above, that might be we have to go into the center of the earth to escape, like that movie Truman Show was showing you. I have a picture of him around here somewhere. Here it goes, right here. Truman Show.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the movie, the light falls, the sun, the Sirius constellation falls, and it's spelled Sirius, just like the Sirius dog star or the Sirius satellite radio, giving you clues. I'm serious, dog. And who's the dog? I'm Pooh, or the Cholo dog, the atomic dog, the Anu, the Anunnaki, the priesthood of Anu, the masters of anatomy, physiology, the Moors, the Martians. You are an extraterrestrial being. You are the future. You are the present. You are the past. You mustn't ever allow anyone to define who you are. Just like an individual, when someone tries to say, put smut on your name, do you allow it? No. So don't allow them to define who you are and who we are. They give clues. They do not exist without us. Everything. Jim Carrey, he's based off of In Living Color.
That was my show, dude.
So the Truman Show is the exit. We're in someone else's show right now. And so as we get into the Moors and Moors connection, like we were saying, study Zwarty Pete and the connection to Santa Claus, Saint Nick, and you as a Moor and Moor going around the world bringing gifts. Like she was speaking of brass instruments. When you go to the temple of Bonampak in Mexico, you see us playing brass instruments, because we are the ones who taught the troglodytes and Slavics how to walk, talk, and do music. We use the violin to actually tame them from attacking you.
Damn.
Chaining them to pillars, chaining them to trees, and playing the violin while they're like, arr, arr. They had to mix in with us. Without a mixture of our blood, they're walking around like Bigfoot. Like they show you here with all the hair all over, Harry and the Hendersons. That's who they descend from.
You know, the wild men, what do you know about that? Because
that's Harry and
royalty too.
What'd you say? Go ahead, ask the question.
It has to deal with, I heard like the wild men made a deal with like the royals or something like that, but they were saying that us.
Yes. Go ahead and I'll answer the best I can.
Yeah. No, I just heard that like wild men like from Europe, because there's like a bunch of stories about them. And yeah, they're hairy, they look like Bigfoot almost.
Yes, those were the warriors that their so-called warriors, cannibals, werewolves. I know also werewolves and how shamans could shift and do all that. But right now, when you saw them, those are people who have lichen blood, dog blood. That's why in the movies that they always used to show with demon or demon, it was a dog, the jackal too. They reversed. It gets into the temple set in Anubis and all that as well. So we can't demonize dogs and Cholo, or the Cholo dog, XOXO. But basically, you're dealing with a group of people who are cannibals, who still practice their culture. That's why they give us meat all the time, because it would be irregular if they didn't trick us into having such a vast meat diet. That's why they like their steak bloody and raw. If we didn't give them Islam, if we didn't give them our lessons as Moors and Moors, they actually would practice, or they would behave how they are. That's how they be. So we gave them music, we gave them the arts, we gave them a reality. So when we talk about the wild man, that's an example of when we went to school with them and they would have lice. We had as Moors and Moors when we gave them Europe and wrote them off and allowed them to attempt to create a civilization for themselves. Not only were they murdering and killing each other, they didn't have canals, they didn't have all these things.
The infrastructure.
We brought in those Egyptian cats and we were able to get the flea off. So we were dealing with Bigfoot. This is why they're so fascinated with Bigfoot, y'all. Harry and the Hendersons. Watch that movie again. They made it cool. And Sasquatch or Yeti Yoda. The Yeti, because that's who they descend from.
Yeah.
The intelligent ape man. Basically a hairless ape, a mankind, a kind of man, half man, half moon key. The moon, they were built under the moon, which is the goddess Sin in Babylon. So the moon, the monkey, the talking monkey, watch Planet of the Apes. We got a monkey to talk and walk. And so some would say that those scientists eventually use those things to go to war with their own brother. You know, so the whole story of slavery would have to be retold if you learned that so-called black people, Moors and Murs, used Slavics and cave people and Bigfoot and would take them out the caves and eventually use them as soldiers because they had no what we would call a soul. So is it bad if a lion eats you? Is it wrong? So that's why we have to separate, because they claim to be Christian, they claim to be Muslim and practice Islam and Shriners and all these things, but the majority of them do not practice these religions and teachings that we gave them as a collective. And so this is when we talk about separation. So when we talk about the wild man and Bigfoot and the Yeti, there's a ride in Disneyland called the Matterhorn, I believe, where they go through the ice caves, and there's a Yeti. That's who they descend from. We don't descend from that. When I was initiated to certain degrees by the Zulus in 06, the Zulu Nation and shamans who were taught by Credo Mutwa, they said that we were our ancestors are dolphins, and dolphins are mammals, and so are whales, and whales have hips, and they also make sonar clicking sounds, intelligence. So go ahead.
Which comes from Sirius too, because they say dolphins are from Sirius.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
they said that's why they're the most intelligent. I think they're the most intelligent species on the planet or something.
Well, maybe I did. That's what they did say, because Zulu means people of the stars, and it was Orion's belts. Orion is Osiris, Sirius, same thing, coded. And I know you got to go soon. She was speaking on the Europeans. So Robin Hood, what was your science behind that? Because for me, Morgan Freeman, more Freeman, a more who's a free man, or you could say a morgue Freeman, Morgue, a dead free man, because he's but he plays God, he plays the Moor, he plays Batman's assistant, you know, and certainly he's always lean on me, Bat Joe, when he was the principal. So right here in Robin Hood, there's a scene where the guy is blindfolded on the horse, and he said, thankfully for Robin of Locksley, he came and saved us. This would not be going on if it wasn't for the Saracens and the Moors. And he said, Azim, what is that, Scottish? You know, and started naming things. He said, no. He said, well, what is Azim? Moorish. He said, right. And so right there in Robin Hood, it was showing you that the war in the Crusades were Moors, basically black and white folks going to war, but really Moors who were protecting their Slavic slaves, who were going to war with their own Slavic slaves, with other Moorish empires in Europe to either break free from the wicked Moors of Europe. That's why when we say not all Moors and royal families from Europe were wicked, a lot of them were taken over by the so-called black vampires and wicked niggas that we see ruling today. So a lot of those Moorish noble families left and escaped Europe, whether it's Sephardic, like we were saying, Sephardic Pete. The word black can be substituted for Swarthy, Sephardic, Tawny, Moor. all these different variations of code words that can help you escape the matrix hologram that we're in. So Robin Hood, what also was that about? Land. Who has inheritance to the land? The queen. Once again, the divine feminine. So it's really over the woman.
Yep.
It's all over her. So some of our royal noble families of Europe use or had a friendship or relationship with, or some would say a pet or a being that some brothers and sisters put into the matrix hologram. And out of love, we have attempted to give them a world through what they call Islam. I, self, law, and master, giving them a world using circles, squares, compasses to design their world instead of going, all that. So that's before she breaks it down, Sister True Brilliance, that was my breakdown of Robin Hood, is that the Moor was also protecting Robin Hood, and Robin Hood respected the Moor and would kill over the Moor as well. So that's an in cahoots. But it was also with the queen, and if you look at her hair, she could look like a cousin who's red bone from down south. Yeah. And that's some of the story that I experienced. Light-skinned family members who could pass for white, or your so-called, when they would say the white man raped the black woman, that all might have been done for science, to where, like they said with Elijah Muhammad's father created him to be mixed so he could be the spook that sat by the door to infiltrate the system. Same thing with the woman. Same thing with the men. The best way is, okay, we're going to have to mix in, and we're going to do this magic, this blood magic, all these rituals, like my dreams as a Knights of Templar, when I told people, I'm Jason, I'm gonna come back Friday the 13th, chopped off my head. Or they burnt me at the stake. These are my dreams that I'm fighting since a kid coming back here. So that meant that, yeah, they used to chop my head off. And I told people, I'm Jason, I'm going to come back, look to the stars. Somebody who controls the Matrix knows his name is Jason, Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all these things surrounding who I am, Compton. So light-skinned females in the family who could pass for white, who lived in the jungles. Hello? Who were there before all those gangs. And then you learn about what the Bloods and the Crips of the science are. So let's get into it, sister, because I know you got to go. But now we're learning of the science of the Moors and Moors connected to gangs. The original gangs were done to fight the police brutality that was occurring when the noble families came from down south to Compton, Watson, South Central, to protect the masonry, to protect the science, because we were getting ransacked down south.
Yeah.
It was
You know what?
Indian wars.
Yeah, you tied that together right there. That's exactly what it was.
And so we had to bang set the temple of Satan while we're in the belly of the beast. Just like the Jedi in the light, because but within that set or Satan, we're cleansing ourselves for those who got off the mothership and went rogue, went against the mother and father's teaching when we landed here, and all these things made certain crafts crash, make us forget that we're extraterrestrial scientists here on a mission. Clearly, it was some of us who, once the crafts landed or once we're entering, the mutiny started amongst our own people. And so right here, we had to escape. So Tukey Williams. Now, I'm not about to condone this, because certain family members said these brothers were the worst things that did happen because they took the cripping and gang banging wrong, you know. So when we talk about the last name Williams, I want True Brilliance to break it down. What was your breakdown of the European Moorish families with the last name Williams in Washington? Because I have these pictures up because of you. So anyone watching this, I actually have all these pictures up because of this sister. And I'm over here running my mouth. It's because we were talking before this. But do your best to explain what I went and researched between the name Williams which I was linking to Doug Williams of the Washington Redskins, the first black quarterback to play and win in the Super Bowl, cousin and family from Letcher, Lionel Washington, and then the gangs, because Raymond Washington was a founder of the original Crips, they said, before Tukey Williams. So once again, Washington and Williams, founders of the Crips, Compton, California. What's going on?
Yeah, so like William, of course you get Will I Am, but like even beyond that, it's the divine will. So Williams is the divine will, that's the son, because the son is I will. So you do the will of the son, which is, that's your consciousness, which everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have Christ consciousness. Everybody doesn't have the son of God. But yeah, Williams, that's talking about the divine will. And in Europe, a lot of kings and things like that and sovereigns actually have the first name William, or it's like their middle name. Like even now we have Prince William. So like that name in general is very important. That's why it's one of the most popular names. It's my dad's middle name. So yeah, William, will I am, willing yourself into being, doing everything according to divine will. Nobody else is controlling you. You control your own will, which means you control your own destiny. And then it ties into the sun, S-U-N, but then it's also the sun, S-O-N, which you have in your name, Jah Sun, right? S-O-N, I have S-O-N in my birth name as well. So I feel like that's also a reflection of the son, the Christ, child. Yeah, like with the Robin Hood stuff, I was actually talking about the cartoon version.
Oh, I never seen
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah, that one, it was really interesting with that one too, because one of the kings, well, one of the guys in that movie, he kind of like went undercover as a king, but he really wasn't a king. And like he basically came in and he had like the crown on and all of that, and he fooled them, and they were in the jungle at this time. So remember what you told me about the jungles in California? But
Yes.
anyway, yeah, they were in the jungle and he wanted to take over their territory. So he came in there and pretended like he was a sovereign, and then he robbed them basically. That's why it's called Robin Hood, like Robin the Hood. And then, so when we talk about hood too, I had figured this out like in a revelation that I had. When they talk about the hood, it's really talking about like the cape. Yeah, the hood. You know what I mean? The priesthood.
The set.
Yeah. So that's really what the hood is. And it's kind of like all disguised to look a certain way so that people won't peep into like what's really going on, because obviously there's a lot of occult stuff going on in the hood. You know what I'm saying? And so like gang members, they're kind of like knights in royal court. So like in royal court, you have all these different knights. Me and Jason talked about the British knight shoes. That was very popular back in, what was it, like the 90s, late 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, the British knight shoes, because they're literally knights, and knights are the ones that protect the royal court. So,
Right.
or the royal families in the hood, the priesthood. So, yeah, British knights.
Wow. Break that down again, sister, because I didn't put that together till you sent me on that knowledge quest. Break that down. That's a science.
Yeah,
And people were getting killed over those shoes.
I know. They would get killed over those shoes. Yeah, the British knights, because they're knights. Like, that's how I look at gang members. They're knights. They are there for the protection. They're the outer layer of the court. Like, they're the first. It's kind of like chess, like even with the chessboard, you know what I mean? Like how the chessboard is set up. They are the first line of defense. So they're the ones that you know, go out and get stuff done, but they are to protect the royal family, because it's like, if you really study like royal families and things of that nature, they are, this is where Hollywood like truly comes from. So if you know about Scottish royal court, they have a palace called Holyrood, the Holyrood Palace, which is where Hollywood comes from. So royal court, they have entertainers. So the king and queen and the royal family, they have people that entertain them, like, which is what the entertainment industry is. So, you know, they would do like certain plays, they would put on certain plays. So like, that's why I brought up, like you had a Othello up there. And there was another play that I brought up. Yeah. So all of the plays and stuff like that, originally these were plays to entertain the court, like, but they would, yeah, and they would give out certain information though within those plays about like what was going on
William
in royal
Shakespeare.
court.
William
Yeah,
Shakespeare. You
Shakespeare,
said.
William. Okay, yeah, going
William.
back to
William.
William, that name William
Wow.
once again. William Shakespeare. He was a
Wow.
screenplay writer. So he would create these plays, but it was like really like a way to communicate information, like on the underside of it, of like what was going on the undercover, but that we couldn't say out our mouth. So you put it in an art form, you put it in a play. But it was a way of communicating information to the other side. That's
Like an
why you have the
opera.
ops and the opposition, and yeah.
Opera. Sing the ops. Maybe that's linked to the
The
opera.
ops. Yeah.
Opera singing, because like we were saying, I take opera now as opera, and I don't know how her picture disappeared, but opera singing our people to sleep, a replacement, you know. So keep going. The ops, uh Othello, William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet was at the end, how death, the tragedy of a lover's quarrel, or two lovers, brought the noble families of Europe together because they were warring against each other. And all
Ooh.
that has to deal with us as Moors, Moors. Like I said in the music video with Drew Hill, y'all, these are the times. Cisco was going to war with himself, but he had Slavic slaves, he had Asians, and he had the black conquistadors with the pimp pressed hair going to war with the Moors, which was filmed at Mission Inn Castle, Mission Inn, which has the #1 festival of lights for Christmas in America, bigger than Rockefeller. Once again, there's castles all throughout Southern California. So that shows that the Moors, whether it's of Europe or we were already doing that, because it's clearly there's different structures. I want her to keep talking, but I'm just taking my mind there of linking the gangs, the sets. You said ops, the Bloods, like they said, T. Rogers from Chicago. That's Larry Hoover. That's Jeff Forel. That's Moorish science. So the Bloods, that's science behind all that. Like we were saying, the Jungles is what we were saying, y'all. The Jungles was called the Jungles not because this is Jason's interpretation for having family who was in there. I would say originally, those were literally the jungles. Compton, South Central, and Watts. Those were the jungles. Baldwin Hills. They dammed the rivers. That's why they called certain area gangs called the swamps, because Compton had swamps. When you go in the city of Compton, there's a big plaque. Like when you go into every city, there's pyramids. When you go to the cemeteries in Compton, there's Moorish mausoleums, that's all over. So the sisters breaking down has me thinking, oh, this is even deeper. So go ahead when it comes to William Shakespeare, who they said was possibly one of, or if not the author of the Holy Bible. And so
That exactly, because there's a connection between William Shakespeare and King James. So yeah, they say that he was one of the authors, and we know the Bible is a book of plays. Like it's a script. That's why they call it scripture. So scripture, it's a script, it's a screenplay. So like that's what I'm trying to say. The stories in the Bible, again, this ties into royal court once again, because the royal court is basically who created the Bible. Like King James, if you get a hold of like a real Bible, like a real one, the whole entire beginning of the Bible is dedicated to the royalty. Like it's putting the royalty up on a pedestal and saying, like, you are the Son of God, like you are, this majestic being. And so the Bible was dedicated to him. So it was dedicated to an actual royal. And so, yeah, with William Shakespeare, since he was the one that wrote all these plays, and then we have the Bible, which is also, it has the scripts in there, which is like the script for our lives. And we see these stories play out in our lives. That's why they always refer back to the Bible for certain stories. Oh, the book of Job. This is what happened to Job. Da, da, da. These are the basis behind what happens to everybody. Throughout their lives, because it was written in the script of life. Like these are the situations that we're going to come into. This is this is how this is how I brought you into it. This is how I'm going to bring you out. And so everything is right there. So it was written.
Connect now with that, with the gangs. I wanted you, if you could go deeper with the gangs in LA with the royal court. So how does that deal with the Crips, the Bloods? We just linked the last names, Williams, Washington, them directly coming to certain specific areas. For me, that means like our grandfathers who are Shriners, Masons, all the top brothers knew where the maps were, knew where to go. But the government, like we were saying, gangster rap came, and that could have been a split house, I wonder, to where there was those who were with the conscious, and then that house got taken over to where bodies had to drop for a certain temple, like I say, satanic type of lifestyle to take over. So can you link that again for even me or the viewers, with Tookie Williams, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Washington? You were saying even Old English. I got this picture. Break it down. I know I'm talking too much.
Yeah, so the Old E, like you guys know, this was big in the 90s. We would drink Old English, and even speaking Old English, let me tell you this. Do you know that the original English was Ebonics? If you go look at the original, they have like Middle English, they have Old English. It was like broken up English. Like the words was exactly like how we talk in slang. Like, you know how they talk about how we speak in Ebonics? That's how Old English looks. That's how they used to write. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really interesting. And to us, if we were to read Old English this day and age, we would be like, oh, they're ignorant. Like we would look at the way that they wrote stuff and we would call them ignorant. Like they don't know how to spell. Why are they pronouncing it that way? And so, yeah, something with the dialect. I still haven't figured that out all the way, but I feel like
Interesting.
all the clues are there. Like that's why the Old English, like the British Knights shoes, it's like they were trying to.
I have a question while you're talking. It possibly, if you drink the Old English, you start talking like the Old English Slavics, slurring your words, because alcohol affects your kidneys and certain vowels. I learned this in college, was studying the Dogon tribe and how liquor affects really how your kidney, it's really sound frequencies, and how we were able to do glyphs like Hebrew, Alif, Be, or Beth. And those glyphs, which are sound, were broken into what today we will call Hebrew, Sanskrit, or hieroglyphs, sun glyphs. Once we get in songs, scripts of the sun that gives electrical sounds that we were able to. Old English we gave to the Slavics. You know what I'm saying? So possibly Old English, like the drunk parties, maybe Old English. So this thinking like that, because what was Pig Latin? What was that about? Do you have any knowledge on
Yeah, that too. Yeah, like the Pig Latin. I don't know, but language is very important. So it's like the language is kind of like showing you what's going on with the people. So yeah, like what language we're using and what language do we speak? English. So there's already a permanent tie between us and Europe. Like permanently, we speak their language, But when you go back to the ancient tribes, because there was tribes in Europe, like when you go back to the Celts and
Germanic tribes?
Yeah, the Germanic tribes and all that, the Britons and all of that. There's a lot of magic there, like the magic of, I think it's Merlin. There's like a lot of tales
Merlin.
and stuff. Yeah,
Merlin the
Merlin.
magician. Even though they put it M-E-R.
Yeah.
Merlin was a Moor, y'all. He was a Moor.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, right in front of us. Oh my goodness. I didn't even think of that one.
And the Druids, yeah, all of that.
Druid.
And you know how we have groves in California? Like the groves.
Tell me about it. I live in the Grove Estates. I grew up in the Orange Groves.
Oh, that's where they do magic. Yeah, the magic. That's where they go to do magic. Like that's where the Druids and stuff, they would go to the groves. And they have something called the other world, where it's like this other world that you can tap into. And they have these beings that are supposed to be from the other world. The Tutudan, I think that's what they're called. I'll have to show you some slides for that one for next time. But I do have to go right now, people.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Can you leave us with anything real quick?
Just get ready for this next year. I feel like for everyone out there, we're at the tail end of something very transformative right now. And today is a new moon in Sagittarius, by the way. So this is a new beginning today. And we're going to carry this energy into 2026. And like I said, it's the year of the horse. So we're going to go. And I do want to continue to talk about like Hollywood and LA and the connections that we have as Moors, Murs, and what have you. I really want to bring this information to the forefront because I feel like the missing information to who we are, that's the only thing that's holding us back. So now is the time for us to remember. That's all we have to do is remember. And I plan on, assisting in that process for the community.
And let them know where they can reach you again. I put the wrong banner up. I thought it was saying True Brilliance the whole time.
Oh, on Instagram, you can reach me at True Brilliance, TrueBrilliance, True Brilliance. And then I also have a website, www.queensandthrones.com. So if you guys want to book a reading with me, astrology reading, you guys can go there and check me out.
And you have a Patreon as well.
Yes, I also have a Patreon, also under the same name.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully we do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. And next time I'll have like some of my own slides as well, because we got to get into some stuff.
Okay. All right. Happy winter solstice and all the magic. Much love.
Much
respect.
love. Take care, Jay.
Peace.
All right. Bye.
I wish you could have stayed longer. So yeah, let's start wrapping it up. So as you guys saw, the divine feminine, the divine feminine. I might have hopefully didn't overtalk her. You know, we were talking so much before the episode. I was like, we got to press record, but we were late with meetings and doing stuff. She's super busy. She's a superstar. Be sure to look her up. True Brilliance on Instagram. We have to get into more heavy stuff, like she said, because she's connected. She's connected to the higher realms. I wanted her to get more when we have more time to get into the tarot readings, the tarot cards, all of that, and more of the divine feminine. That's probably the first episode of our series that we'll do with Sister True Brilliance, and we'll get into more of the hip hop scene and how hip hop is a script, you know. So as we start closing it out, let's close it right there. We had the British Knights. We broke that down. We broke down Robin Hood, but most of all, we started with Makaveli. We saw the script possibly being played out right in front of us, because they still use Tupac Shakur's death supposedly for money. Even in his death, these dead supposed artists, hopefully they're on the other side. But question, I want everyone, before we close this episode, the what ifs. Which artists do you feel really died and were assassinated? Which artists faked their death? Which artists got the tap on their shoulder, said, all right, it's time for you to go. We're going to put you in a whole nother realm, or another landmass that people think doesn't exist, you know, with different cities, and I would say intelligent life, underground cities. All these things are those who can walk amongst us just with different masks. You know how they have those different human masks. But what if some of these artists fake their death? What if Makaveli or Tupac had a stand-in? What if what Suge Knight is saying, we see that Keefe D and all those dudes are lying. You don't know if Suge's telling you the truth. You got Choke No Joke and DJ Vlad. These dudes aren't even born out here. Much respect to all those people. But there's no brothers spitting it who are from the soil and come from those families. But I think it takes us all together to see, yeah, it's a script, bro. It's a script, because what happens, I'm thinking that when you're not born and raised in California, there's something about the energy that if you come here thinking California is Hollywood, that's when the spirits, the entities, all the wicked stuff, and the people who can play the magic in that way can get you. Because there's temples here. There's people who practice the magic for what they call good and evil, good and wicked. Or there's people who guard it and say, man, there's so many wicked people. We have to basically be selective. There has to be some type of weeding out process, just like getting your doctorate, master's, bachelor's, AA, high school diploma. Some people have their GED, then junior high, then elementary, kindergarten, preschool, all degrees of knowledge and information. And then they always say, your mark, get set, go. So it's almost as if you're calling upon set, get set, ready, set, go. On the set, whether it's a movie set or a gang or tribe set, set in motion. Let's say Osiris in motion, Osar in motion, righteousness in motion, Moors in motion, Murs in motion, El Uve in motion. And so this could possibly be all a giant script for certain people not to figure it out. And now I might be giving you all too much information. But this is coming from the source, Jason. But if Tupac and them faked their death, Prince, Michael, Jimi Hendrix, all these brothers, and went to what we call the other side, and some probably were assassinated, but even certain ones that are recent, some were real, I'm thinking that some of these deaths, like now that you see with these kid rappers and all these overdoses, dudes getting shot in LA, those are real deaths. But the Biggie, the Pac, it's almost, and then Brother Nipsey is almost so perfectly orchestrated. Like the Staple Arena ceremony, they said that no blood, them still haven't, all these things. The Tupac mystery, why are they still bringing this up? You know, like why it's beyond a ritual. It's because they use us as commercial entities in our death. It's a satanic ritual at this point. You worshiping Jesus, a man, even worshiping Yahshua, instead of being Mayat or Mayan, because Mayan isn't just a people who they try to picture and paint. It's principles. Excuse me. Certain morals, certain understanding of the goddess, divine principles of Mayat, Maat, Mya. The people of Olmeca are Mayans. Us as Egyptians are Cometians, are Mayans. Mayat, people who practice Mayat. Makaveli, the Maka, AMARU. So I'm thinking of codes, you know. So when you come to California, like Biggie was saying, I'm going back to Cali. That was Califia. He knew that was pre-programmed. And they said then he was going to Europe to be almost crowned in Europe. And so the Christopher Christ, the Wallace went to private school. You know, mom from Jamaica, might be related to Garvey and them. So we look at that, the Garveyites, Christopher Wallace, you know. So once again, coming to Califia, California, by someone else's will, by someone who understood or thought they had an understanding of how California worked, but had to hire these type of brothers, the so-called Crips and Bloods and gangs, like the sister True Brilliance was saying, as their knights in protection, as they tried to become sorcerers or the source in the magicians. So instead of being righteous, they were like Jafar and Aladdin. Instead of like a Merlin magician where you use your magic for great and good, like superheroes. There's certain superheroes that do bad, they said, things. And then there's ones who fight the other superheroes. It's madness. But they come to Califia to live it. So us born here, born and raised here, and certain family members who come from the down south brought this technology of knowledge. And here we are today. We're seeing blood sacrifices of what we would call Tupac Shakur, AMARU, the truth of hip hop, the demonic rappers versus the holy rappers. Raw, rap. You take off the P, it says raw instead of hip hop, you know? So being a raw, being a god, being a king, being a leader, being an innovator, being a leader for your people and all people, but really being a leader of knowledge, being a leader of righteousness, being a leader of innovation. That's the prize. That's the essence, not the Grammy Award or the billions and trillions. And it's the invisible value that each of us hold within each other as being connected through the divine feminine, through Maya, the mother, the roofs, through Jason, all these principalities and word spells, incantations that we now are seeing. So when Biggie Smalls, Christ came to Cali, he was sacrificed. By who? We talk about those who Puff didn't own the record label. He doesn't own Interscope, you know. We don't own these record labels. Even when people speak of Death Row or Bad Boy, they're under Interscope. They're under Sony. They're under an umbrella. So these brothers have been taught and observed how people who do not look like them from Europe, who practice their culture in secret, but also use our Moorish science to create scripts, to create art, to create a reality, but they hide it by not telling you that they cannot create anything without the help of a Moor. And so it's what some would say a chess game or a sport or a war of intelligence to figure out your family feud, which is Moors and Moors, the same people, different thought processes, different cold regions, different families. It's going on now, the cleansing. And so when we look at it as such, now it's the healing. Now it's us uniting Moors of Europe, Moors in Africa, Moors, the science uniting us and seeing the scripture that was already written in Hollywood, in California, Southern California, Khalifia's land, a script of murder, death, and mayhem, gangster rap, hip hop, on the land that was once a Moorish capital called Compton, Califia, California, Disneyland, a Moorish castle. Hollywood, when you go type in the club Maya, the Mayan. It's a new club. Well, it's an old club that is being revamped. But I want to find out, is that really an old Mayan temple? It's a club in downtown Los Angeles called the Mayan. I want everyone to look it up. So right there, us as Mayans practicing Mayat, that doesn't matter what your skin color is, your hair texture, it's your principalities. It's what you are, what you be. So we use the beehive as the queen bee, but also it's us as the sons, to initiate. We're the ones who also create the queen bee. As she crowns the king, we crown the queen, the emperor, the empress. But there has to be a weeding out process in the family, like they call the black sheep. But are you the black sheep because you did wicked stuff? Are you the black sheep because you're the one who went against the family's hypnotic spell that was put on by noble, wicked ones and good ones, to where there was an agreement to say, okay, we're going to have to figure this out. This is going to take generations, but there's no such thing as time the way they've described it. So when you understand you never die and you come back, we're talking about families who understood this. This is when you get junior, senior, the third, the fourth, for your great grandfather who knew the rituals and going to where? El Kemet. Let's take it to El Kemet real quick. I'm going to take you to El Kemet, where we learn about what? The Ka, the Ba, the Ra. The Ka is the spirit, the breath, the Ba, the body. So you are able to transport your Ka and Ba. But more so ever, I wanted to show you, it was an ancient Egyptian glyph that I went to. It was really to show you guys. It was of death and how we use the Ka and Ba. We were able to use that science to resurrect the spirit, so using ancient Egyptian technology, which is language, which is sound, which is being able to use the sound frequency of the ha, ba, ka, ra, cha, ha, ha, wa. Those sounds, and being able to take that sound or wa and make a glyph from it, and that's where you would get into Hebrew, Sanskrit, and all those things. So when we're able to I lost that train. That was a good one. The sound, the script, when they get lost in Hollywood, basically, and they're not from here, they get lost in the illusion of sorcerers who trick people into thinking that's what California is all about. When California is about gold, the essence of Califia, the mother, the divine feminine, access to the almighty gold underneath the ground that resonates and creates warriors, empresses, not just physically why we're the best athletes and intelligent, but using our minds, creating civilizations here. And so when people come here without love on their mind and thinking of Hollywood, those who are on the set, because people say, I got to get that back in the day before Hollywood was destroyed. That was a goal. I got to get to Hollywood. The set are New York, New Amsterdam, the Big Apple, which is all European, because that'll take us to Wu-Tang, who's talking through Old Dirty Bastard, Haru, you know, the Shinnecock of New York, Turtle Island. So the Brooklyn Bridge, Mario Brothers underneath Brooklyn is a bridge to another world. That's why they built New York on top of a city. Go watch Ghostbusters 2 with what they show you with the ooze and the sewers and tunnels that are underneath New York because they had advanced technology. So we still do. So once again, Califia, New York, Islam versus another more. So them coming from other places to corrupt Califia, disrupting us with a debauchery. So it clearly couldn't have been the people who were originally here thriving, using gold to build monuments, technology, free energy, flying crafts, El Dorado, Colorado. Colorado is a new name. Colorado used to be by Arizona and Riverside, California. Look it up. So right here, we showed you Mecca, California. It's in Riverside County. Riverside is called Riverside County because it had rivers, and rivers lead to the ocean. So Pacific Ocean, Moors and Moors, using ships, which were called corvettes, using our Moorish ships to sail in from the Pacific Ocean inland to Southern California. This is why they created the dams, like the LA River. They're dammed, they're concreted because we use the river system. Those were our ancient highways as well. So when you're looking out of these mountains, remember a lot of our temples were built inside of rock as stone masons, building our shrines. So Mineral City, Arizona, 1863, on the crossing. So Mineral City was a steamboat landing and a ferry crossing on the Colorado River in La Paz County, Arizona, United States, from 1863 to 1866. So right there, minerals, precious minerals, but we haven't been taught to utilize these precious minerals, yet there's an industry over precious minerals: silver, gold, cobalt, lithium. These are the L's, element L's. This is our industry as Moors and Moors. A lot of these crystals that you find are simply blown up fragments from old buildings and crafts, spaceships. That's why you're able to hold the crystals and the elements and get information. And we will put this information into our crystals as we are connected. A Razone, Arizona. Blythe, California. So Ehrenberg is located on the Colorado River, which forms the border with Riverside County, California, near the city of Blythe. Now, people might ask, Jason, what's the city of Blythe? It's right here, ladies and gentlemen. Well, first, on Alienation, the mysteries and monsters of the Inland Empire, in Bigfoot, in the Santa Ana River and mountains of San Bernardino. But first, right here, one of the greatest American discoveries, seen from the air, giant alien figurines, Antiglos, one measuring 180 feet in the desert of Blythe, California, resembles shapes at Nazca, Peru. Von Doniken has proposed that prehistoric man tried to communicate with beings from outer space. So right here in Riverside County, our ancestors made contact with extraterrestrials. Why? How? Because we are the extraterrestrials who have been taught that we are humans. Nazca, Peru is Nazi. And who did the Nazis use? They used our technology of ancient symbology, sacred geometry. Look up close right here. According to the Hopi Indians of Southern California's Hemet Maystone, represents the migration of their ancestors into North America from the east, where a terrific deluge overwhelmed a former world age. Riverside is the now river. Moreno Valley is land of the Moors. Corona is crown. Herupa Valley is Heru. Lake Elsinore is El Sa Nor indeed. Temecula is Te Mecca. Sun City is Sun City of Ra. Palm Springs, Osiris. Rancho Mirage, Palm Springs. Am I naming some cities out? Paris, Isis, Aset, Rome, man, let's keep going. So as we close it out, we see the connection between us as extraterrestrials, us as Moors and Moors, all throughout the planet, all throughout time and space, but also in the Americas. The ancient Americas is the present. The future is ours. Blythe, the city of Blythe, the largest city in Palo Verde Valley, is named from who? His name is Thomas Henry Williams. Whoa. Thomas Henry Blythe, real name is Thomas Henry Williams. Therefore, Blythe, Riverside County, was previously owned by the Williams family. Let's get into it. Blythe died in San Francisco on April 4th, 1883, at the age of 60. At the time of Blythe's death, his estate was estimated to be worth around $4 million. He died suddenly and unexpectedly, without any family in the United States and without a will or other instructions regarding his estate. Almost 200 people initially claimed to be his legitimate heirs, including 3 women, each professing to be his wife. Litigations of the state spanned more than 25 years, But ultimately, the entire estate was, and that'll be the mystery. So the Blythe alien crop circles intaglios, connecting to the Grand Canyon, Riverside, Hollywood, Compton, and all throughout the planet, using waterways, using the rivers, the Mississippi River, the Santa Ana River, the Colorado River, spreading knowledge, information all throughout the planet as Moors. Because as Moors, we travel on water. We Moor, merchant. So right here, evidence, proof, Jason Edwin Williams, heir to the throne of the Williams dynasty, the Williams Empire, the Washitaw Empire, the Choctaw Nation. And so, yeah, we could start closing it out. So go see those, y'all. That's a part of history. Inland Empire was on PBS. They called them Desert Giants, the only geoglyphs in the United States. It's here. And look at Richie Rich, Macaulay Culkin, who was there. Amor, the Noble, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Jeffrey was from Europe. The divine feminine of even Fresh Prince. Hancock. When you go against the divine feminine and go towards Hollywood or the temple of Set or Satan, and you become weaker as Heru or Horus or Asar, Kefra, Tehuti, the Jedi, Jazuti, Quetzalcoatl, Nebkaru. So that's what Hancock was about. Us drinking the liquor, the old English, the liquor, the fire water, tearing us down. You cannot fly. And when I was doing this is spring water, because they came to Riverside County in the Americas for the fountain of youth, the water from the earth. Men in Black, erasing your memory, giving you, instead of winter solstice, the sun in the sky, giving reverence and thanks for clearly an intelligent design. When we see that sun in the sky, raw, and we see our melanin and how it interacts with the sun and allows us to interact with nature, netaru, Medu, nature, mother, nature, Medu, netter, language of nature, language of the netters, language of the gods. Cuckoo! Cuckoo! We are the Men in Black, Jason Society. You know who you are. Do not allow anyone to confuse you or deceive you or whisper in your ear otherwise. You are bright. You are not black. You are bright. So when they say you're more, oh, they're back. Well, I'm bright. You remember when teachers, for some of us, they would say, you're bright. What does it mean to be a bright? Jason, you are bright. That was young. They don't even use that word too much anymore. spring water. So when you're bright, you come from a different bloodline. Watch the movie with Will Smith, Bright Again. Watch how it's teaching you that some of us are different, not human. But they try to get you in their school systems, their Hollywood. They try to trick you into going into your culture that teaches you that you're an extraterrestrial, infinite being that comes from darkness, that creates light, bending shapes and patterns and sounds and magnets to come into this body. The Ka, the breath of life, the Ba, the humble abode, the body of Ra, to experience this dimension and also come and save and rescue some of our brothers and sisters who are lost in the Matrix hologram and do not and have forgotten who they are. Remember the time when you were in our knowledge. Remember the time when you were math. Remember the time when you were science. The true definition of walking science. Proof of highly intelligent creation. You are the living proof of what they call Ra, Allah, our God. Or Yeshua, or Yahweh. You, your body that activates with the breath, the Ka, Ba. Hence Ka, Ba, La, Ka, Ba, Allah. The Ka, the spirit, the body of Allah. Allah is simply the arm. A, the leg. L, leg, L, because you have two legs, so that's two L's. And remember, L, E-L, or L for 90-degree angles. So you have the A, or the alif, the alif, the letter 1, A, 1, and L, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. L, able to create a circle, a square. And then the H, the head. So there you spell Allah. You are the body of Allah. So the Ka and the Ba, the Kabbalah, the Kaaba Allah is science and technology that you left, that are your answers, that are your ancestors, and the answers to all problems. So your ancestors are your answers to all your problems, and your ancestors are through your technology. And your technology, the highest form of technology, is your body, your mind. That is proof of a divine. Geometry, calculus, mathematical codes to the fact where they're in Dinkra codes. People might, as I end it, y'all might say, Jason, what's in Dinkra codes? In Dinkra codes is what your binary system is based off of, the motherboard. Your city is a motherboard. You're living in a video game, a hologram, atoms, photons, neurons, electrons, magneto. You are that. You are the sentient being. You are in the Sims. You are shelled organic, in a sense, robot who is coming online, understanding that you are an infinite being. Meanwhile, they got you worried about an artificial intelligence when we are the supreme intelligence. Superior intelligence beyond anything that they can ever trick you to believe in, because they know nothing until you give it to them. But they still don't know because they cannot experience it in your body. That's why they have to mix in with you. And that's why on the hieroglyphs and on the coffins and the cartouche, you could stand out of your body and you had priests doing chants. That's why you see Muslims today, they have to hurry up a certain time period to bury their loved ones, and they'll do chants. Because if your great-grandfather knew how to come back or knows how to come back, he could come back by naming you a certain name. And other family members can't know. Or some, they're all in on it, like Prince William, Prince William is our Slavic who is in place. That's why he got the girl from Compton or LA. Trying to swipe our destiny. Williams, the true inheritor and the true heir of America. Williams, Jason, Edwin Williams, Moore, I am a Moore, last name originally Moore. And many of us, when you keep going further, your great grandma's name, you'll see her last name was Moore, M-O-R-E, M-O-O-R, M-O-R, all different translations of you coming from that, as you being the educator, the deliverer of the science and mathematics, traveling through the wormhole, the vagina, the matrix. As we close it out right here, these are Ndinkra codes. Let me show you right here. These are Adinkra codes. Adinkra codes are geometric diagrams that represent mathematical relationships between particles and supersymmetric theories. They are also the name of symbols that originated in Ghana and represents concepts and aphorisms. Adinkra symbols are used in fabrics, pottery, logos, carved for ritual, And so basically they use these Ndinkra codes to create their binary codes and computer systems. So our ancestors, whether they were what you call in Africa or Ghana, because Ghana's a new word, those are the Nok people, Nok, N-O-K. In Mali, there's a Mali in California. There's a Mali in California. Like I told y'all, Mansa Musa is California. The Mansa, Agua Mansa, Mansa Musa. That's a Moor. That's a group of Moors. You are Mansa Musa. When you understand that we are the wealthiest people on the planet and the gold and minerals belong to us, you are become Mansa Musa. Trading gold, trading knowledge, seeds and fruits, spreading wealth. So end it with that. Do not get it confused. Makaveli lives. Makaveli the Dawn. Long live Tupac Amaru Shakur. We thank you, 50 Cent, for having the courage to expose these devils and almost in a sense as a devil himself, in a sense of redemption, but also his wickedness with the shows, the BMF. But that's what he is. That's what he's always been. But hopefully there's something else in the background with that. But one thing we do know is that we rise. We rise as a people. We rise again and again as a phoenix, as a scorpion, as the gods, as the eagles, the spaceships, the motherships. You are the great lizards, the draconians and reptiles that they fear, the Nagas. You are those people. Pick a side. You know what I'm saying? What side are you going to be on? You know what I'm saying? What script are you going to follow? Are you going to create your own script? Are you going to look at the scripts and say that I'm not going to allow them to paint the script of what Tupac represents or what Diddy represents? All lost in Hollywood. Or did Tupac win? Did he fake his death? Does his knowledge live on for eternity? Is that how you live forever? And how quick did it take? 20, 30, 40 years? So it's the return of Makaveli, return of the dawn, return of AMARU, the rise of AMARU, rise of the Moors, rise of the Moors, end of the family feud. We are those people. We are infinite. We are not the ones. We are the creators before the ones, the twos, the zeros, and double zeros. We are the creators of the sound. We are the creators of all. I am Jason. July, August, September, October. I'm gonna close y'all out, hopefully with a good video. They're gonna let us do it. Well, we'll end it with this one, that one. And then, nope, darn it. I had a good one for y'all. But yeah, that'll be it.
All about respect. I do it for the cause. I live for my queen. All my niggas kings. Captain of my team. Life is just a dream. Life ain't what it seems. You're just a player in the game if you don't own the league. Hop on the magic carpet, fly with me to a whole new world that they call Elm Street.
And we making this ascension back out. Breathe so some of this air get kissed by rock.
That's right. Let's keep going.
Let's go.
So let them know what's up, brother. What are we doing right now? The world wants to know.
Man, we walking out this tomb, the tomb of Sneferu, our great ancestor. We just invoke this spirit when you call upon an ancestor's name, that is to make them live again. And that's what we're doing. Ancestors living through us, the children, the original children of this land. We coming back. Bless.
That's right.
Got you, son.
Yo, what's up? It's Jason, the God MC, better known as Elm Street. We out here in Africa, Plano, Egypt, about to open the stargates. You already know everything is atoms, photons, neurons, electrons. So we're gonna turn around right here, and we're gonna show you the Great Pyramid. That's the Great Pyramid. I'm the Great Pyramid. You're the Great Pyramid. We're living it up. Shout outs to Toronto, US, Africa, Brazil.
Jane Street finest, man. Jane Street County Collection. Toronto. Out here, banging against the system. Hey, see that? Tough.
Class, today we're taking a stylish little tour through the gut because chemistry and anatomy make an irresistible pair. These two winding powerhouses right here, the small intestine and the large intestine, decide what your body keeps and what it lets go. Your small intestine, about 20 feet of velvety tubing, breaks food. Class, today the star of the show is this, Takis. Spicy, crunchy, and absolutely loaded with red dye and saturated fat. When those roll through your system, they don't just party on your tongue. They slide into the small intestine and leave a residue of oil, dye, and fat. Veggies are more than just colorful snacks. This orange, for example, is a bundle of water, natural sugars, vitamins, and fiber. After you chew and swallow, enzymes in the stomach get the breakdown started. Then the party moves right here.
I am rewriting your DNA. You will never see the world the same again.
I can't breathe. I didn't ask for this. Anubis, why
Your
me?
grief seals the covenant. Rise, daughter of the jackal.
The hour is upon you.
I just...
Out. Time to finish this. Come on then. Back to the void. No ghost haunts my kingdom. Looks incredible. I can't. I don't like it anymore. I don't like meat anymore. Oh my god.
This mango tastes like sunlight after rain. The forest feeds its warriors well. Crunchy and sweet. These colors belong to kings and queens.
556 rotations around the sun, we've been kept under the spell. ancestors carved. The veil glitches. Look around you, this world is a hologram. 29,556 rotations around the sun, we've been kept under the spell, family. But tonight, on these stones our ancestors carved. The veil glitches. Look around you, this world is a hologram.
Sun, children of the sun, Moors, native sons and daughters. On the stones of the Olmec we gather again. Look to the sky, the sun, children of the sun, Moors, native sons and daughters. On the stones of the Olmec we gather again. Look to the sky.
Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission glyphs. Glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic. Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission glyphs. Glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic. Under my feet, but the stars of my vision. I crack open the gate, ancient with the new mission glyphs. Glow blue, let the time stream spin. I step through the circle and the future pulls me in. They built a cage of light, a holographic.
People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. People of Earth, I am Dr. Jason. I come from the future, and I am not of this world. I have returned to free my people, the Moors. Matrix University, IEST, linking up, virtual reality, education and innovation and entertainment, gamification of education. Peace and love. Welcome to the Matrix University. We got one of the greatest artists in VR chat right now, brother MC Moses 369. Let him know about yourself.
What's going on, Dr. Jason? You know what time it is, man. Hey, I'm MC Moses 369, the biggest truth to do it. Real conscious artist of the metaverse, man. Hey, the first of its kind. Y'all come in. We in the Matrix University.
Yeah, take them through. I'm gonna follow you, man. Let's take them to the temple. You know.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So let them know what's going on in the VR chat world, man. Let them know how this is the new Facebook, Instagram, and how, you know, it's important to be up in here with this new frontier technology.
Yeah, man, it's the beginning of it. The technology is a very expansion. It's growing every day, you know what I'm saying? And it's only getting better and bigger by the day, you know what I mean? It's kind of small right now, but it's early on. And the people that's getting into it right now are at the beginning of the frontier. So it's an amazing place to be, bro, for networking and connections, bro. And just to expand your artistry and creation in general, man. You can make money here. All type of events are able to be hosted, bro. You know, it's an amazing place for everything, bro.
Yes, sir. Families all over the world on 360-degree field trips. So the goal, once again, is to get sponsors, donations, and investors so we as well can host our own trips in 360-degree videos around the world. So this is an example of our friend and host Steve Grubbs, which is actually the owner of the company that I have collaborated with the Matrix University. So once again, this is our global field trip module to where we can take students and families all around the world instead of spending thousands of dollars, airport security and passports. Once again, gamification of education. We're making education cool and fun again and giving access to education for all. So here we go.
We've made it to the Temple of Karnak. Now again, Karnak is in Luxor. Luxor is fairly far south of Cairo. So if you look at this map, you can see right up at the top is Cairo and Giza, and that's where all the big pyramids that are so famous are. But if you follow the Nile River purposes, one was, it was a messaging tower to the gods, to give the prayers
the
to
obelisk
the gods and then to receive messages from the gods.
And so this
Second,
is technology, y'all.
It was also a decorative piece for
a communication device.
Obviously. We know that in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument is an obelisk, and there is a replica of this obelisk in Central Park in New York, which was a gift from Alexandria, not Egypt, to New York City. And so it went from here to Alexandria. So these obelisks have a long history in civilization and antiquities. And that's just a couple things to know about the obelisk of Karnak.
Why do you think their faces are knocked off, y'all? So
now in an area that
look at these devices. Look at these symbols.
Around us, 134 pillars.
They speak.
You can just see a few right around us here.
Imagine when they were colored, filled with rubies.
134 pillars, built by 3 kings:
Crystals.
Ramses the First, Ramses the Second, and Seti the First. So, what's interesting is that this.
I'm gonna show you proof that melanated beings were advanced civilizations of sea mariners. Our armies were on the sea. We had marines, navies, long before the military of the United States. Right here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But he's a black man.
Yeah, he's a black brother.
Now you see this? This is proof. This worked. Big brothers. These weren't no weak brothers off the block drinking 40s. These were strong brothers eating from the fruits of the motherland. Check it out.
Into the netherworld. It was protected by the Horus king himself from the serpent in the underworld to make sure that the pharaoh made it to his travels. In the next life.
Advanced civilizations. Who said we didn't flow on the sea?
Welcome to the world-famous King Tut Museum. Be sure to respect the ancient relics. The ancient Egyptians were a magical people who built numerous beautiful, magnificent structures, like the world-famous pyramids and temples. No running inside. Scientists till this very day still do not know how the Egyptians built the pyramids.
I wonder, did aliens ever visit ancient Egypt? Wow, look at that giant Egyptian statue. It looks just like you, Jason. Thanks, Toby. You're a super cool friend. Imagine what the world would look like if I was the pharaoh.
Jason, you are daydreaming. Wake up.
Sorry, history got away from me.